What would RobTop's main levels be rated if you were forced to collect all 3 coins in order to beat the level? This is part 2, and in today's video, we're going to be rating the levels from Theory of Everything all the way to Dash. If you haven't seen my part 1 video of this, we already rated the levels from Stereo Madness all the way to Clutterfunk, so check that out if you're interested. Make sure to let me know in the comments if you agree with my ratings, and let's get right into it. Theory of Everything starts off with some normal and hard jumps, but very often in this level, I find it switches between much harder gameplay and way easier gameplay. Especially when you have to choose a path, it's mostly just a little bit of memorization. The first coin goes from a really easy UFO section to a fairly hard timing to get between those 2 saws and grab the coin. This ball section also has some harder timings, but it's not too difficult overall for an insane rated level. This second coin is honestly very difficult, and I struggled with it a lot to get through that gap, so I would rate it medium demon. This UFO section is once again fairly easy. The timing here does get a little bit harder, but only to dodge a few of these spikes. And then you can just sit back and relax while we come up to the third coin. This coin is honestly just memorization of when to fall, and is preceded by some quick orb clicks. This ball gameplay is honestly pretty average in difficulty, and then you end the level off with a little bit of a straight fly with the mini ship. Given that most of the level is hard or harder difficulty, but the second coin is very difficult at medium demon, I would average the rating out at an insane rating with 12 stars. Next up, we have Electroman Adventures, which is also rated insane and initially given 10 stars. Electroman Adventures starts off pretty easy for an insane rated level. There are some fake orbs and fake blocks, but honestly, this first coin is really easy to get. This mini ship is not too difficult, but you still have to dodge these saws. And you have to fit through this tight gap in order to grab the second coin. This part of the level is pretty easy, so you can jam out to this amazing music. The UFO and ship parts here are fairly hard, but there's also a decent amount of room that you can fly around and not hit the saws. This mini UFO is really easy. And the ship part is pretty normal in difficulty, and this cube part only gets a little bit more hard when you go upside down. This ball part does have some fast clicks making it harder, but the third coin is honestly the same difficulty as if you were to take the regular path. These final blue orbs can be a little bit fast to click. So given that the second coin is the only part of the level that's rated insane, I would still rate this level insane difficulty, but I would downgrade it to only 9 stars. Next we have the first demon level in the game, Club Step. Let's see if this should be an easy or medium demon. For a demon level, the beginning of Club Step starts off fairly easy. There still are lots of fake orbs to confuse the player, but this first coin is honestly easier than going for the regular route. And the rest of this gameplay leading up to the beat drop is honestly easily sight readable. Here's where the level really ramps up in difficulty, with a lot of narrow ship sections that continually switch your gravity. This ball section may look intimidating, but the gameplay is honestly not that difficult. However, this UFO part in between the Club Step monsters is very tight and requires a specific click pattern. The second coin is harder difficulty with smaller gaps between the spikes compared to the regular route. This gameplay is also quite difficult navigating around the invisible spikes with the small ship. And these gravity portals also make it much harder. In my opinion, this upside down flying section is the hardest part of the entire level and really what makes this level a demon level. Coming up on the third coin, there's once again a tight gap to fall into before grabbing the coin and finishing the level. So given that a lot of the gameplay in Club Step is rated insane, with the one ship section even being easy demon, I don't think the coins necessarily change the difficulty of this level, but I still do think Club Step is rated easy demon with 13 stars. Next we have Electrodynamics, which is an insane rated level, but should it be easy demon? Let's see. Electrodynamics actually starts off pretty easy, but as you know, it gets much harder later in the level as we go up to 3 times speed. The first ship part starts off hard, but it does become harder as you become a mini ship and the gameplay gets a little bit narrower. This UFO part is really fun, but it is pretty hard. The first coin does require fitting through this small gap between the spikes, making it harder. Then we get some easy ball gameplay as we lead up to the second coin. The second coin does require buffering the second blue orb, which is a pretty precise timing and small gap to fit into. Then we enter 3 times speed, where the level really ramps up to insane difficulty. And here comes another ship section, which gets even tighter, and at this speed, I think this would be easy demon. The third coin is honestly pretty easy and about the same difficulty as the normal path. And then we have the final ship section, which once again is rated insane difficulty as it's fairly tight to not hit any of these spikes. So while the first and second coins are rated harder and insane, most of the difficulty of electrodynamics is carried by the ship sections, making this an easy demon with 13 stars. Next we have Hexagon Force, which is initially rated insane with 12 stars. Hexagon Force starts off pretty easy with a lot of jumps that the player is pretty used to. This ship part does get harder, especially since you're upside down. This first coin is honestly pretty easy, and once you know about it, I feel like most players will probably go for it instead of the regular route. Now we get the introduction of the dual game mode, which is surprisingly difficult because most of the gameplay is actually asymmetrical. Except for the ship part, which is symmetrical, so you can really just focus on one of the icons, making it easier. These orbs can be a little bit hard to time properly. And then we get the dual ball game mode, which once again is harder because it's asymmetrical. For the second coin, you need to do somewhat of a straight fly to get under the platform at which you can hold and grab the coin. And these orbs can be pretty difficult to click without also clicking the fake orb. The third coin is pretty difficult, but it's not insane given that the gameplay is at 0.5 speed. Given that there is a decent amount of harder and insane gameplay in this level, I would still rate it insane, but I would downgrade it from 12 to 10 stars. Next we have Blast Processing, which is initially rated harder, but for some reason is given 10 stars. Blast Processing starts off really easy, and honestly most of the level stays within the range from easy to hard, with only a few exceptions where it does get a little bit harder. Here we get the introduction of the wave, which can be a learning curve for new players, but is pretty easy overall. Even compared to other harder levels like Time Machine, the gameplay here is fairly chill. Back to the wave, the gameplay overall is not too hard, but then we do get the dual game mode, which makes this first coin really fun and a little bit harder. The second coin does require a decently hard click pattern in order to fit through the one block gap and grab the coin. But this gameplay is not too hard overall. Finally, the third coin is much harder, requiring getting under this block, which is insane difficulty. And the end of the level requires a little bit of memorization, but is really easy overall. So given that this level has some really easy gameplay overall, the difficulty of the level is carried by its coins, which are harder or insane. So I would rate this level harder with only 8 stars. Next up, we have the second demon level in the game, Theory of Everything 2. Let's see how difficult this should be rated. The beginning of Theory of Everything 2 already starts off a lot harder than most other levels. I've honestly died to these final orbs here too many times for me to even count. The first coin is honestly pretty difficult with a small gap, but once you get the rhythm down, I don't think it's worth a demon rating. A lot of this gameplay here is very fast paced and very easy to mistime your jump and die, so it does make it a lot harder. This ship part can be very difficult to not hit the spikes on the edges, and this part takes very precise inputs at upside down gravity. This wave section does get harder at 2 times speed, and it's followed by a memorization ball part. The second coin here is fairly difficult to grab, but fits really well in a demon level. This invisible section can also be pretty tough. Now this ship section takes very precise clicks and is by far the hardest part of the level at hard demon, but this third coin is really easy to grab. This UFO section can also be fairly difficult and fits the difficulty of a demon level. After this short mini wave, there are only a few more easy clicks to beat the level Theory of Everything 2. So given that the one ship section is rated hard demon, but the rest of the gameplay is mostly easy demon, insane, or rated easier, I think this level averages out at a medium demon rating with 15 stars. Next up, we have Geometrical Dominator, which is rated harder with 10 stars. Geometrical Dominator starts off really easy and introduces the robot game mode with some easy jumps to start. The first coin is decently hard as you go upside down with the robot, but as you practice, it's pretty easy to get the hang of it. This ship part can be pretty difficult with a tight gap to fly through, and the same goes for this wave section, which is also pretty tight. Here we get some more easy robot gameplay, teaching the player the extent of how much you can hold in order to jump higher. The second coin does require pretty precise timing to grab it and not hit the stall when you land, so I would rate it harder. And this flying section is mostly normal to hard difficulty. Then we have the memorization section of this level, which in theory is pretty easy, but I've always seemed to struggle with this part and knowing when to fall versus when to jump. As a result, I do think this part is really what carries the harder difficulty for the overall level. The third coin is a pretty simple small ship part, so I would only rate it hard, as you can just go under the blocks and grab it. So because of the memorization section in this level, I would rate it overall harder with 7 stars. Next we have Deadlocked, the final and arguably hardest demon level in the game. Deadlocked immediately represents a demon level with this small mini wave, which is quite difficult. The rest of the cube gameplay here is not too bad overall, but it's also not really easy. The first wave is a common choke point, so I would rate it medium demon. Even this ship section is pretty difficult since you need to grab the key for the first coin. This UFO is still pretty hard as it's fast paced, but it gets a lot easier as we transition back to the cube. This part is also harder because there's some pretty precise robot jumps. This mini ball is also pretty difficult as you continually teleport around the screen. Since you got the key earlier, the first coin is really easy to grab. The second coin is pretty easy to get, but the jumps afterwards can get a little bit harder in terms of timing. Then we get this evil ship part, which is mostly easy demon and insane difficulty as you have to navigate through these tight paths. The third coin also has a really difficult timing to dodge the laser, making it easy demon. Then we get a hard demon dual wave spam, which is another common choke point. This mini wave is also hard demon, and I think those are the hardest parts of this level. This ship part doesn't get much easier though, requiring a lot of memorization and accurate flying to get around the moving blocks. This UFO part is also insane with a difficult click pattern to memorize. And just like that, there are only a few more easy cube jumps. And that is the end of the level, Deadlocked. So given that there are a lot of demon parts in Deadlocked, ranging from easy demon to hard demon, I would average the rating out at medium demon with 15 stars. Let me know in the comments whether you think Deadlocked or Theory of Everything 2 is harder. Next we have Finger Dash, which is initially rated insane with 12 stars. Finger Dash's gameplay starts off fairly easy, introducing multiple new orbs such as the black orb and the dash orbs. The gameplay is fairly chill as we lead up to the beat drop to introduce the new spider game mode. The first coin requires some fast clicks to grab it from within the pit, making it harder. The gameplay here drops to hard because of its speed and the arrows to guide you. This ship part can be a little bit more difficult, especially with this second coin, which does require a decently difficult straight fly. The third coin is actually a really difficult wave section where you have to collect 10 of these mini coins in order to unlock the main coin. As a result, I would rate this easy demon. Then we get some more fast spider gameplay and another mini wave section, which is not too bad. The end of the level is fairly easy overall with a nice cube section. So given that the third coin really carries the difficulty of this level overall, I would rate it insane difficulty with 12 stars. Finally, we have the last level in the game, Dash, which is initially given a rating of insane with 12 stars. Dash was released in the 2.2 update, meaning there are a lot of new camera effects which make the gameplay a little bit harder. This spider part is rated insane because it's pretty awkward to get used to. Here, if you hit the last red block, you get the first coin, which is more of a secret than really a challenge. Now we get the introduction of the swing game mode, which is really awkward to get used to, but the gameplay itself there is not that difficult. Here there are some really cool effects with the rotating gameplay, including this ball part, which is really fun, but is still harder difficulty at most. Then we get another swing section, which has the second coin hidden through a tight gap through the lightning. This spider part also has a high click rate, making it harder. This gameplay is about hard difficulty, as you just have to keep watching the player as they go around in circles. For the third coin, you just need to keep clicking until it pops up, making it really easy. This ship part can be quite difficult because of the zoomed out camera, which makes it a lot harder to control. In the final section of the level, you rise up this tower, going back and forth across the screen with some pretty easy gameplay overall. And once you've reached the top of the tower, that is the end of the level, Dash. So given that the gameplay in this level is still pretty difficult, especially the second coin with the swing, so I would rate this level insane difficulty, but only give it 10 stars. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I really hope you enjoyed. If you've stuck around to this point in the video, please consider liking and subscribing, as it really helps me out on my goal to reach 2,000 subscribers. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.